this week. NFP has been cancelled this week, but the government shutdown has officially ended. So the President of the United States has passed the bill, okay, for the funding which they are meant to use to run those certain arms of the federal government. So no shutdown anymore. That means we are good, but the NFP news has still been postponed. Okay, postponed till when, if you may ask, till further notice. So we are going to be notified on the group chat when the new date for the NFP reports. We'll be notified of the new date for the NFP reports. Okay, so since they have cancelled since the government shutdown has been resolved, that basically means our schedule still um still stands. The only thing missing in our schedule is going to be the NFP, which was meant to come out this week. Which was meant to come out this week. So if you check your Forex factory, you'll see that NFP is no longer coming out on Friday. That government should have not even last for up to like a week sales. I don't know why they canceled NFP because of it. And I've checked the whole Forex factory. I've checked the whole Forex factory, and they have never brought out NFP. They have never set a date for NFP. So they would set a date, but somewhere within the month. But we don't know yet what the date is going to be. So you see how we were already planning on acting. Delay 15 days. They won't delay this PPI itself. They shifted PPI to the end of the month because of the government shutdown. Well, you can see how we're acting, like how we already planned to trade. The moment we found out there was government shutdown, you can see how we already, oh, we're not going to trade this one. We're going to wait for. Last time we had the government shutdown, which was the first time I was trading with the government shutdown, trading fundamental news with the government shutdown. I think we traded like three fundamental news also that were not released. So the market did not move, the news were not released, and we just lost like about 60% of our capital or thereabout due to spread. And that was when we now learned that, oh, there are government shutdowns and, you know, this news are most likely not going to be released. But now as it happened, immediately we're already like, we're not trading. fundamental news on this thing. It started on January 31st and ended February 3rd. Just like 4 days, and they already moved NFP. They have moved NFP and they shifted PPR to the end of the month, you know. So immediately we already acted this way and reacted this way based on the experience we got in 2025. They understand. So that's this thing. And today's session, I'm going to be talking about how to use ChatGPT when you're learning to make your learning process easier. Okay. So I basically use ChatGPT as a source of most of my news, a lot of my news actually. So as you all know, a lot of things are actually going on. All right. So just look at something now. I had this question on, when the shutdown, I wanted to know if they had ended the shutdown already. So what did I do? I just came here and typed. So what ChatGPT basically does is that it has access to a plethora of information on the net. So instead of it to go to Google, because now if you go to Google now, start searching as the 2026, though they have their own AI built into Google, which is meant to filter out information and give you what you want. But I don't, it's not every time I see it's not every time I used to see their AI stuff. The AI stuff will just display the answer up here like this, but it's not every time I see it. So instead of it to come to Google and search, because now if you say as you search this one, now you can see like the headlines talking about it. So basically from just looking at this, you can see that it has been ended already. But then what if I want to ask a question like this? What if I want to ask a question like this? Okay, yeah, it came out now. Like, you can see the AI now. See the AI is showing me this thing. So what the AI does is that it's kind of like filters out the information. You're asking a question. These are the news articles talking about when it started and when it ended, right? For you to get the information on when it started, you have to click on this and start reading through this um BBC's article, right? That is going to take your time. It's going to take your time because before you're done reading through and start looking at where do you start, where do you end, where do you start, where do you end, before 10 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes have gone, right? But instead of doing that, you can just easily come here on ChatGPT, type it, it's going to bring out the information for you. And also, if you also do it here too, their own AI to scan through the system. So what the AI does is that the AI scans through all the news articles, check through the credible ones, and bring out answers to your questions. More like you're asking a very, very fast IT specialist questions, and the IT specialist is getting you the answers in real time. Only that this time around, there's no smart IT specialist. The smart IT specialist you're working with is this. And also, when it comes to trading, okay, so now you have lots of information like your fingertips and all, but then there are gaps, right? There are gaps. For example, now when it comes to me making analysis on fundamental news, I actually rely on ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is not going to tell you if you need to buy or sell. If you ask it point blank, is it going to buy or sell with this fundamental news, right? Huh. If you ask it if it's going to buy or sell with the fundamental news, it will basically just tell you, it will do guesswork for you and tell you to buy or to sell, right? Well, then if you know what you're looking for, you have data and all of this thing you're actually looking for, you know what to ask it. right? Instead of it to, okay, for example, now, okay, let's say I'm making my analysis here. I'm typing all my stuff, writing all my stuff down back in, okay? And then I forget the effect of a currency pair with rising inflation. You understand? I forget the effect of the currency pair, with rising inflation. Okay, or I forget the effect on the currency pair with a CPI actual value, higher than the forecast value. Okay, I forget the effect. For example, now USD. What's going to be the direction of USD if the actual of CPI is higher than the forecast of CPI? I can calm down now and start trying to write this, write that, try that. I'm trying to plot, the effect of inflation on the value of commodities in the country. Then I now draw the relation between that value and then USD. Then I now draw to know if it takes make USD go up or go down. Then I'll get the answer. But that will probably take up to like 5 minutes. So instead of doing that, I'll just come and ask ChatGPT if CPI actual. You don't need to add question mark. I just like. So you see, they answered me immediately. So what would have taken me 5 minutes trying to like put, because yes, I know what's going to happen. All right. I know what will happen if it's higher or lower and all of those things. But the reason why I have actually internalized all those information is because I've been trading fundamental news for like about a year now. All right. A year plus self. So I've internalized most of this information. All right. But there are still some of those things that maybe mixing up. I know when it comes to fundamental news, if you cannot make a mistake between rise or fall. If you go and say fall, let's say you got a mistake, instead of rise, you go and miscalculate and it's now fall you now think of. Your prediction can be right, but because you mix things up, instead of it to be predicting by, you predict sell. So those things are like very, very delicate. If you're going to gain, you're going to lose strength. Like it's very, very delicate which can get wrong. Because if you get wrong, you're basically going to be predicting the opposite of what you're meant to predicting. So I just come and just type it to get further confirmation that I'm getting my stuff right. You understand? So, or instead of typing it like this, you can just come and type it. Here's JPY. So feel free to always work with it when you are learning. Sometimes you can be learning something, right? And then when you're learning, right, you forget something and you're in a topic, that requires knowledge of that thing which you learned, let's say like 4 days ago. All right, but in order for you to go and pick that information up, you need to start going back to your books and start trying to look for where that topic was, the video where you got that topic from, and start watching the video all over again to get that information so you can understand what they're talking about in this new video. That can take you up to 20 minutes. Instead of taking you up to 20 minutes, just go and just type it here. Boom. And oh, my message was jumbled. Sorry. And ChatGPT is going to actually search the internet for that and give you answers. Now, ChatGPT can actually make mistakes. All right, definitely. It can actually give you some wrong informations a lot of times, sometimes actually. All right, but um, if you know how to use it very well, ask it like the basics and stuff like that and all of those things, most likely are not going to get caught up with the mistakes. But it's when you start asking like some information and then probably it goes online and it's seeing wrong misinformation, then to bring the misinformation and give him. Well, and also if you're asking these very complex things and it does not have answers, so it's just guess for you. You know, you ask it if yes, government should go to end tomorrow, 30 years going to end tomorrow, stuff like that. That's just when, but if you use it very, very nicely, you can use it as a help guide to help you master what you're doing. But I have I think a 2 hour training on ChatGPT. And so I'm gonna drop it on the group chats for those who want to go over it to know how to set up ChatGPT, know how to use ChatGPT, know the things they can ask ChatGPT, and all of those things. I'll drop it on the group chat after this class. But that's basically that about um this thing. Okay. I used it down to okay, I'll give you an example of the mistakes it usually make. Okay, so when I was predicting AED CPI, yeah, we predicted CPI, AED CPI. I think we predicted CPI correctly. Yes. We predicted CPI correctly. Was CPI on implement rate predicted correctly? Where I backtested for the last 10 years or so, and I noticed that January, the figure always comes down. The last 10 years was always lower in January than forecast. So I told us to buy based on that thing because it was meant to be lower. Because for the past 10 years it's been lower. So this is the 11th year. We shouldn't break the pattern, right? Because of behaviors that happens in December are constant. Christmas, everybody are coming home for holidays. So it causes this, causes that, and everything. So I asked ChatGPT. I initially did my own backtest and I saw the correlation between everything. So I asked ChatGPT to check for the last 10 years and give me its correlation between that and that and that. And then it started typing nonsense for me. I was like, something wrong with you. And I asked it to bring the data, previous forecast and actual data for the last 10 years. And it was showing me rubbish. So let me show you, for example, now what I'm talking about. Check price factory and this is rubbish is telling me. I asked the idiot, it's not idiot actually, it's very smart. All right. Look at it told me January 2026 results was not yet published due to shutdown delay. So it told me January NFP results was not yet published due to government shutdown delay. Was not published due to January 2026 results. Is it the NFP? Is it January NFP that we traded or the one we did not trade? But it said, and you see, I asked it a very simple question. The question was very direct. The question was very direct. Go to Forex Factory. Just search www.forexfactory.com and check um the non-farm pay change. Okay. I said go to January and check. I said check for first factory and display the previous forecast and actual data for January NFP readings for the last 10 years. Before told me that January 2026 results actual, not yet published due to shutdown delays. Let's check the January 2025. It says December 2025. Forecast. This is the forecast. Yes, correct, correct. I told you that previous results, if previous data is data for December. You can see it's not public. But if you come here, you can see actually 50K. Look at the previous 50K, forecast 7K, actual, not yet published. So you see previous was 56K, forecast 66K, actual 50K. Let's go to January 2025. January 2025, previous 307K, forecast 169K, actual 143K. This one was correct. Then let's go to January 2024. January 2024, revision noted, forecast, ba, ba, ba. This one. And then it stopped at 2022. But if I keep going down, I can keep going down to this 2021 already. This is data 2021. I've reached 2016 already. This 2012, this 2010, this 2009. I can go as back as 2007. ChatGPT cannot even give me the one for January. You understand? And then also when you ask it some questions, like for example, now when it came to the CPI reading of the AUD, which we predicted, I asked it some a question about inflation, and then it gave me a particular inflation figure. I was like, uh, where do you get the inflation figure for AUD? Where do you get it from? I now typed the actual inflation figure for January, for yes, the current one for the last, because they released one in January, beginning of January, and one at the end of January. So I now typed it for it. It now looked at it and I said, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Like you made a mistake by I think you showed me about 4% or 5% something inflation, something or there, but when it was around 3.8 or so. So it's like, how did you make a mistake? Okay, so why ChatGPT can actually make things easier for you when it comes to all this data and plotting things together and getting the raw data which you need to feed into the model, especially when it comes to trading news and other data like this. It's most likely they're going to give you nonsense. It's most likely not going to give you nonsense. So you need to just understand the limitations, right? And once you're using it, try and like um you know where to get these things from now. Look at them side by side, and if you want to get any correlation, you put it like this. If you want to feed a model into the data, for example, now I want to do something like I can like copy something like this and type it here. So I'll tell it, look at this data, analyze this data. I don't know why did I think developers did like that intentionally. So people will not just come and start asking it questions, and then to now start analyzing and giving people correct news predictions. So I think they kind of like skewed it up like intentionally. So when people come and just ask it figures directly regarding fundamental news and stuff, to just give them wrong data because definitely You can't tell me ChatGPT does not know the correct inflation figure of Australia of the AUD. You can't tell me ChatGPT does not know January actual this thing. So I think they can like restricted it from having access to this data and like tweak something so it's just give wrong information. So if you come and ask directly, um prediction on USJPY to probably scan and give and look at wrong data and then give you wrong figures. Stuff like that. I think it was intentional. But let's say analyze the data and show me the correlation between months. Mm-mm. Let's do something like uh, confirm. Okay. So you can see, you can look at this thing here, you can see what they are showing you. So from this now you can see um employment rate has been reducing, that's been on a decline. All right, that's the correlation I can see from the graph. That's been on a decline. That means every single month, fewer jobs are being created. January 2025, see the number of jobs that were created. But you can see that it's currently reducing. Fewer jobs are being created every single month, and it's actually on a downtrend. That's the correlation. But if you ask ChatGPT to do this thing for you, so not come here and get the data, it's come and show you rubbish. So now look at, I got the data for all the last months. I got the data for all the last months from 2026 to 2007. So I want to ask ChatGPT for the correlation between January NFP readings. Analyze all this data and show me the correlation between NFP and hmm. Correlation between forecast and actual readings of January, higher, low. Tam tam tadam tam tam tadam tam tam tadam tam. All January forecast and actual results side by side. Focus actual, focus. So negative means lower jobs were created. So negative means lower than forecast. Positive means higher than forecast. So here we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of the result, 9 out of them were higher than forecast. Here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of the results were lower than forecast. So if none of the results were higher than forecast, 11 were lower than forecast. There is no correlation. It's kind of like random. Yeah, but for the AED one I saw, all of them were kind of like higher than forecast. So it was just very easy. If you're looking at this from here to here, you're seeing all of them are higher than forecast. Basically, just go with higher. Just go with higher, and that's what we did, and we predicted it correctly. So sometimes there are correlations between these things, and sometimes there are not correlations. If you see your correlations, you can trade your correlation. If you don't see your correlation, then you have to look at this thing. What I'm trying to show here is you can do a lot of things, ChatGPT, but plot this on a graph. You can do a lot of things with ChatGPT, but the amount of data it has access to is kind of like restricted. I think it's intentionally to prevent people from using it just because you can't even ask ChatGPT itself to you can't ask ChatGPT to backtest for you. If you want ChatGPT to backtest for you, you have to go and download the CSV file of the particular model you want to backtest on. For example, if I want to backtest on the 1 hour time frame on years 13, if I ask ChatGPT to backtest for me, it's going to tell you that it does not have access to the live feed. So I need to go and download the CSV file from the period to the period I want to backtest on, copy everything. I'm sorry, load the file on ChatGPT just the way I inputted this data. Then now ask it what to backtest on for me. This is at the advanced ones. So you probably don't need the advanced ones now, but at some point, the reason why I like teaching every single thing is because at some point, yeah, you need some of this information. And if you already have learned it before in the past, once you need it, you just remember, oh, I can do it this way. I can do it that way, and you have solved that particular question. You understand? But if you don't actually have the information and you need that particular information, you cannot bring out what you don't already know. You understand? So you just be there stuck, probably doing try and error, and then it take a longer time to figure it out. That's why I just show you everything. But that's basically it. Start using ChatGPT to make your own as you're learning, just ask questions, get what you want to get, and get yourself accustomed to. It's helpful and it makes lots of mistakes when you're trying to like use it for very advanced stuff. But if you know how to work your way around it, get your own live data feed and stuff. Like this particular thing now, that backtesting I initially did it manually first. The manual one took up to like 1 hour to get all the data, look at them together, start spotting the correlations. And using ChatGPT after just took like 5 minutes. But I had to do it manually first too, because I know that this needs to make mistake. And I didn't want a situation whereby it's gonna give me wrong information. After I'm now done trading, I'll be like asking it, why do you give me wrong? It's not so I apologize. So I apologize, tell you, "Hey, I'm sorry I made that mistake. It was because of this or that. I thought this. So to avoid that, I did it manually first before I now fed the data into it. But that is basically for our live session today. If you love the live session, you got value from me, drop value on the group chat. And see you in the next one. I'm going to post the recording of the live session before 12 p.m. So those who joined late or who are lost at some point can actually take the time to go over the recording and get the full information. Thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys in the next live session. Bye.